ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Friday and the Saturday Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu and the Nectar of Devotion Summary Study Bhakti Shastri course. We have been discussing the various Angas scriptural proof. We saw for the 44th Anga, Tat Kripa Ikshanam, a very wonderful Anga and wonderful commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. How a devotee practices this sadhana to always expect the mercy of the Lord and with a grateful heart, with body, mind, and words, offer his prayers and respectful obeisances. We saw this commentary of a Jiv Goswami as well as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It was an elaborate discussion. And then we also saw Prabhupada's very important insights in his summary study. We saw this. Then we saw 45 was Smriti. And then we saw the proof, one from the Vishnu Puran and other from the Padma Puran. Prayena cha prayena. Whether you're in living or you're about to die, one should remember Krishna. And then we quoted the Charam Shloka from the Vara Puran, because that is speaking about how one, when is living, if he remembers me, then at the time of death, I will remember him. Aham smarami mad bhaktam nayami paramam gatim. That's what Varade promises. So this is not a quotation given by Rupa Goswami, but I included because it's quite important. Then we saw 46th as Dhyanam, meditation, and there are these four types: Rup Dhyanam, Guna Dhyanam, Krida Dhyanam, and Seva Dhyanam. And the quotations, references also we saw on this. Then among the Navvida Bhakti, there is Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Dasyam is seventh, Sakyam is eighth, and Atma Nivedanam is ninth. But here in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 47th Anga is Dasyam. And we studied, I think, practically one class on Dasyam. Dasyam, what this technically is Karmarpanam and Kankeram. Karmarpanam means when the identity is based on your Varna and your prescribed duties. Based on that identity of the subtle body, we are more conscious that, oh, I am a Brahmana, I should do my Brahmanical duties, Patan, Patan, Yajan, Yajana. So it's not that I am spirit soul and my dharma is to serve the Supreme Lord. That identity is Kainkaryam. So when the identity is based on Varna, then you do your duties and you do Arpanam to the Lord. That is what is called as Karm Arpanam. So for Karm Arpanam, there was a quote from the Skanda Puran, and for Kainkaryam, there is the Naradiya Puran. And we discussed quite in detail uh, based on further verses of Rupa Goswami, how in Karmarpanam there is two types: offering of auspicious among the prescribed actions according to one's nature, and then offering only actions such as japa, meditation, and deity worship. Because within the Varnashram also the Brahmana is doing some chanting, he is doing deity worship. These are direct devotional services. So according to the Acharyas, Karmarpanam 1B is only considered Dasyam, and Kankaryam is definitely Dasyam. And we saw why, because his bhakti is not strong. There is more of mission of karma. So that's why it's called as Bhakti Mishra Karma. Bhakti is not Pradhan, Karma is Pradhan. And then we saw the Naradiya Puran reference, Iha Yasya Harir Dasya, very famous verse. So today we will begin with the 48th limb, and among the Navida, this is the 8th. Among the 9 limbs of devotion, this is the 8th. So, Atha Sakyam, Vishvaso Mitra Vrittischa Sakyam Dvidam Iritam. There are two types of Sakyam. Sakyam Dvividam Iritam. Trust and being friendly. Vishwas means trust, and Mitra Vritti, being friendly, having a friendly nature with the Lord, Vritta Vritti. So there are these two types of Sakyam, which Rup Goswami is referring now. So here I have put it in the chart, Sakyam, Vishwas, oh, that is trust, and then there is being friendly. Now, there are two evidences which Rup Goswami is going to give, quotations for Vishwas, one from the Mahabharata and another from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And for Mitra, the evidence will be from Agastya Samhita. Now, among these two, Vishwas and Mitra, uh, before we go into the subject, how many devotees feel among the two, which is superior, whether it is Vishwas or Mitra? You can either raise your hands or type in the chat box. Which is superior among Dasya, whether it is Vishwas or Mitra? Yes, Nitya Sevini Mataji has raised her hand.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandvat Pranam.
Yes.
Among these two, I feel trust is very important.
Vishwas.
Vishwas.
What about others? Okay, there are two answers. One is Vaishali Mataji, Vishwas. Santana Lakshmi Mataji has typed as Mitra. Mohan Rup Prabhu has also, many have typed as Vishwas. So, Santana Lakshmi Mataji is correct. It is Mitra, which is more intimate. So, let us see how it is so. Trust is Vishwas. So let us see now, once we go through Sakyam. Sakyam is quite detailed, and maybe practically today we'll be spending the whole class on Sakyam. Okay. Sorry. just yeah. The first type is the opinion of the others, and the second is the opinion of the author. So the first type of Dasyam is the opinion of others, but the second is the opinion of Rupa Goswami. That is Mitravat. Mitra here means friendship in general, rather than the Sakya Stahi Bhav that appears only in Bhava and Prema. So here, firstly, Rupa Goswami is, Jiva Goswami is clarifying. Mitra here means just having a friendship in general. It is not referring to the five, especially the four rasas, which at the stage of bhava, our rasa, our swarupa, as well as our rasa in relationship with Krishna is revealed at bhava bhakti. So what is the stahi bhav, whether it is dasya ras, sakya ras, vatsalya ras, or madhurya ras? So that is revealed. So here, it's not mitra friendship is, like Sakya. Sakya ras is, you'll say, oh, Krishna and the Gopas, like Sridhama, Sudhama, Bhadrasen, Arjun, not the Kurukshetra Arjun, but the Vrindavan Arjun. So they are having their Stahi Bhav as that of friend of Krishna. So it's not referring to that. It is just friendship in general. Just friendship in general. Such a tendency is described in the Bhagavatam. So this kind of tendency of friendship is described in the Bhagavatam, famous verse. Aho bhagyam, nanda gopa vrajo kasam, yan mitram paramanandam, purnam brahma sanatanam. How greatly fortunate are Nand Maharaj, the cowherd men, and all the inhabitants of Rajbhumi. Aho bhagyam. Nanda refers to Nand Maharaj, Gopa refers to the cowherd men, Vrajokasam refers to the inhabitants of Raj. There is no limit to their good fortune because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, Paramanandam, the eternal supreme Brahman, Purnam Brahman, has become their friend. Yan Mitram has become their friend. So here in a general sense, friendship has been mentioned because you can see the Nand Maharaj is in Vatsalya Ras with Krishna. The Gopas are also sometimes in Vatsalya Ras. The Vrajakosam refers to the inhabitants of Rajbhumi. So they can be in Vatsalya or Dasya or even Sakya. So that is why Mitra here means friendship in general and not the Sakya Sahi Bhav. I hope this is clear to devotees. If you have any questions, you can raise your hands about it. Any questions, any clarifications up till now? Okay. To identify with such a position of friendship is called Sakyam. Krishna mere mitra hai. Krishna is my friend. Now, to identify such a position, is sometimes even very famous personalities here in this world. And suppose you happen to be his friend, with a lot of this dignity, you say, he's my friend, like that. But to identify such a position of friendship is the Sakyam here, according to Jiva Goswami. Now, let us see Prabhupada's commentary in his summary study. Now, Prabhupada doesn't go into too much of technicalities, but he gives a very interesting insight, very nice and interesting insight. Firstly, later on, Rupa Goswami will discuss how Sakyam to practice as an Anga of Bhakti is very, very rare. And it is only possible in Raganuga Bhakti. But Prabhupada is giving us some practical hint on how we can come to this level of practicing Sakyam. Some practical hint is giving from his summary study. So I'm taking those points now. Devotional service in friendship can be divided into two categories. The first is to act as a confidential servant of the Lord. And the other is to act as a well-wisher of the Lord. Prabhupada is saying that we have to act as well-wisher of the Lord. So how can we act as a well-wisher of the Lord? Anyone raise your hand? How we can, to act as a well-wisher of the Lord? How can we act as well-wisher of the Lord? Raise your hand. Who would like to answer? How do we act as well-wishers of the Lord? Prabhupada is to every letter sign, your ever well-wisher. Krishna is the well-wisher of every living being. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. So how can we act as the well-wisher of the Lord? By not being envy of the Lord. Something more practical. Yes, Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji.
By acting as a well-wisher for the entire souls, jivas.
How? How do we
by giving
that?
Krishna consciousness to them. By
Yes.
giving Krishna consciousness.
Yes. See, actually, we can become a well-wisher of the Lord. Just like, if somebody is in the witness box, what is being in the witness box in a legal scenario. So there has been some accusations and the opponent lawyer is, placing his arguments, and the lawyer who is in favor of the person who's in the witness box, he's placing his arguments. So in one scenario, we can say that Krishna is in the witness box here in the material world. And the atheists are, hammering Krishna that the God does not exist. God does not exist. And the devotee who proves the existence of God by God's own words in the Gita acts as a well-wisher of the Lord. So how much, if in a material sense, somebody is accused and he's supposed to go behind the bars and the lawyer saves him by acting as his, defendant, by defending him in the court of law. So we, by defending Krishna in this world, by defending Krishna, by preaching the message of Gita and Bhagavad, establishing him, we act as Krishna's well-wishers. And that is why Krishna in the Gita says, there's no one who is more dear to me, the one who preaches this message. So this is very important for devotees. So another devotee, Mataji, also has mentioned that to preach the glories of the Lord and bring conditioned souls towards the Lord. Yes, that is the reason. So Prabhupada is giving a very deep understanding here that to act as a well-wisher of the Lord, the devotee who has confidence in Krishna, in the devotional service to the Lord, systematically follows the rules and regulations with the faith that he will achieve the platform of transcendental life. So in this statement, Prabhupada is speaking about which type of the Sakyam. We saw Sakyam has two types, Vishwas and Mitravritti. So here Prabhupada is speaking about what? Which one among the two? Among the two, which one? In this statement here. Yes, it is Vishwas. It is Vishwas. The second type of devotional friendship is to become a well-wisher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord accepts a preacher as the most dear servant. Anyone who's preaching the confidential message of the Gita to people in general is so dear to Krishna that no one can be equal to him in human society. Just, we want to attract Krishna's mercy. This is the best way. Attract Krishna's attention towards us and get his mercy. Just become the well-wisher of Krishna. Defend Krishna in this material world, and Krishna is extremely pleased, and you will become very dear to Krishna. So Prabhupada gives a little different insight here in his summary study, because the reason being that these angas are very, very difficult for sadhakas to practice, both Vishwas and Mitravrat. So now, right now, we have seen Mitra. Mitra, we saw this. I just want to give you examples of this Mitra. One is a famous pastime which is narrated by Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj in his Jagannath pastimes book of Jagannath Puri. So Jagannath is very, can say, very active and likes to do wonderful pastimes, leelas. So Jagannath is to actually not here in Jagannath Puri, it is in Rajapur. But I read that pastime there. So there in Rajapur, Jagannath is very active. You know that there is a huge field there, and there is a huge mango plantation and jackfruit plants. Jagannath likes jackfruits a lot. So every day night, Jagannath used to go out in the garden, the forest, and he had one friend. He was a boy, and both used to play there. And once Jagannath told that I want to have this jackfruit. So he told this friend, you go up, climb the jackfruit tree, and you throw the jackfruit, and I will catch it here. Friend was afraid, what if, the security guard comes, he'll catch us. No, I'm there, I'll catch it. I'll, very dexterously catch it. Jagannath assured him. So this boy, innocent boy, went, climbed the jackfruit tree, threw the jackfruit, and Jagannath, is very mischievous. He ran away instead of catching the jackfruit. And there was a huge sound of the jackfruit crushing on the ground. And this boy was, oh, what did my friend do? He had ran away. Jagannath had ran away. And then the security guard came and caught the boy. So Krishna sometimes, does this kind of pastimes in Sakyaras with his friends. This is a true story of Rajapur Jagannath. So this is something like, having friendship with the Lord in general. So whether he was in Dasya Rati or Sakya Rati, we don't know, that boy. But both were very good friends who used to play in the night, in the evening in Rajapur Jagannath. So this is one example of Mitra Vritti. Another example I would like to give is what I heard from one book, The Hare Krishna Explosion. Howard Wheeler, one of the first disciples of Srila Prabhupada, one of the first few disciples, Hayagriva Prabhu. We all know that he was an English professor, lecturer, and when he joined, he thought, Swamiji, I should serve him. So is there any service I can do? Oh, yes, there is, Prabhupada said. So, you can translate this. This is a small thing, I can do it very quickly because he was very good in English. You have any more service? He said, yes, I have. And Prabhupada took him inside his room and he showed him huge trunks filled with books. And he said, all this has to be translated. My goodness, he said, how can I do all this? So when he expressed like this, Prabhupada said, you need not worry, Krishna is there. Krishna will give you the necessary help. So Hayagriva Prabhu narrates that Prabhupada was speaking so naturally that as though Krishna is next to him and he's like, very close friend, and Krishna is there, Krishna will help you. So that kind of intimacy Prabhupada spoke because, Prabhupada, for him, Krishna was there present in his heart and he was directly getting reciprocation. But for Howard Wheeler or Hayagriva Prabhu, he felt, oh, Prabhupada was speaking as though Krishna was there next to him and he's speaking, Krishna, your friend will help you to get this thing done. So these are two examples of this kind of a sakyam, what we are speaking about, which is not so easy. It's not so rare to have direct friendship with the Lord. So that is what is sakyam, especially mitra. Okay. So this is a small insight from Prabhupada's summary study. Now let us go to Sakyam, Vishwas, friendship, evidence. First evidence. Tatra Adyam. Adyam means the first type. First type was Vishwas, Mahabharata. This is from Mahabharata, uh, uh, who's speaking? This is Draupadi speaking. Pratigya tava govinda name bhakta pranashyati iti samsmritya pranan samdharayamyaham. O Govinda, Govinda, remembering again and again, samsmritya, your promise, tava pratigya, that your devotee will never perish. Name bhakta pranashyati iti. I maintain my life. Aham pranan samdharami. So we know that although Pandavas were so dear devotees of the Lord, but yet the Pandavas went through a lot of ordeal, a lot of crisis in their life. And they were tested every time. They went through a lot of miseries. So Draupadi is offering this prayer. Now, how many devotees know in which rasa is Draupadi with Krishna? Anyone who knows can raise their hands. In which rasa is Draupadi with Krishna? If you want to type in the chat box, you can type it to me only. Yes, Kalyani Mataji?
Sakyaras.
Yes, she's in Sakyaras, friendship. She has a, although she's in a female body, it doesn't mean that, it's Madhuri Ras, but she's in Sakyaras, friendship. She had a Sakyaras with Krishna. So that was her dealings with Krishna. So, but this is, this is a evidence for Vishwas, to have faith. What faith is that? That, I have faith in your words. I have faith in your words. Vishwas. I have faith in words that you will protect. Your devotee will never perish. And because of that, I'm maintaining my life. Otherwise, there were so many difficulties. Bhishma Pitamaya, in the first canto, 9th chapter, opens, Aho, 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 Aho kashtam, Aho anyayam, yadyam dharmanandanam, jivitum na kleshtam, vipra dharma achutashraya. Aho kashtam, what type of devotee difficulties you all Pandavas went through? Aho anyayam, what type of anyay has happened to you all Pandavas? Huh? Aho kashtam, aho anyayam, yad yuvam dharmanandana. You all Pandavas, Yuyam refers to you all Pandavas, Dharmanandana. He is referring definitely to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Jivitum na kleshtum. You were not supposed to live. The kind of difficulties you faced, you would have committed suicide. You would have should have died. But Vipra Dharma Achutashraya. Because you had taken shelter of the Brahmanas, Vipras, you had taken shelter of Dharma, you had taken shelter of Achut. So this is a guiding principle again for us as devotees, that whatever difficulties come in our Krishna consciousness, we should always be under the shelter of the devotees, shelter of dharma, the practice of bhakti, and shelter of Krishna. Then we'll be able to surmount and surpass these past obstacles which come. So Draupadi was going through a lot of obstacles, but because pratigya, because of this, your promise that your devotee will not perish, remembering these words, I'm just maintaining my life. So where is Krishna mentioning Name Bhakta Pranashati? Where has he said about it? Name Bhakta Pranashati. What is she referring to? Yeah, Bhagavad Gita. 9.31. She's referring to that. Okay. Okay, let us see now what is the commentary of Jiva Goswami. This is the statement of Draupadi. It will be shown later that since she is an associate of the Lord on the level of high prema, the statement is a result of elevated prem, not sadhana. This we will see later on how it is. Still, it may be used as an example of sadhana, since even those on the level of highest prema will sometimes act on the level of sadhana. Now, how can this statement of Draupadi be said to be Dasyam Vishwas? Because Draupadi is an associate of the Lord and she is on a very high level of prema. And these statements are coming out of prema. So they are not sadhana. We are speaking about angas of sadhana bhakti and evidence. But here Jiva Goswami is clarifying. This statement of Draupadi can be used as an example of sadhana because even those who are on highest level of prema, they act on the level of sadhana. That is why this can be used as an example of sadhana. The next verse, verse 190, which is taken from the section of Bhagavatam describing the Uttama devotees who are beyond sadhana, should also be understood in a similar way. So in the next verse, the second reference from the 11th canto, which will be given from the Bhagavatam, that is also spoken by Uttama devotee who is beyond sadhana, but still these act on the level of sadhana. So that's why we have to take them as it is. Later, this section of the Bhagavatam concludes with the words Pranaya Rasanaya Ditangri Padma. One who has thus captured the Supreme Lord within his heart is to be known as the Bhagavat Pradhan, the most exalted devotee of the Lord. This is from the 11th canto. Here, Pranaya is mentioned, which indicates that the Uttam Adhikari is at the high level of prema, not sadhana. Nevertheless, verse 190 quotes this as an example of Vishwas in sadhana bhakti for the same reason explained in the present commentary. So pranaya is a very exalted level of prema. Within prema, there are higher levels. If you remember, when we started the sadhana bhakti, we discussed there is pranaya, sneha, mana, raga, anuraga, bhava, and mahabhav. So it is spoken out of pranaya, which is a very exalted level of prema in the Uttamadhikari category. So it is not a sadhaka statement, but still it is taken as an example of Vishwas because sometimes these Uttamadhikaris act in the level of sadhana. That is the reason. In the Mahabharata, Draupadi says, "My dear Govinda, I simply remember your promise and thus I live." The purport is that Draupadi and her 5 husbands, the Pandavas, were put into severe tribulations by their cousin brother Draupadi, Duryodhan, as well as by others. The tribulations were so severe that even Bhishma Dev, who was both a lifelong brahmachari and a great warrior, would sometimes shed tears thinking of them. So this is coming forth in Srimad Bhagavatam. That was Aho Kashtam, Aho Anyayam. He was always surprised that although the Pandavas were so righteous and Draupadi was practically the goddess of fortune, and although Krishna was their friend, still they had to undergo such severe tribulations. Though their tribulations were not ordinary, Draupadi was not discouraged. She knew that because Krishna was their friend, ultimately they would be saved. So similarly, sometimes devotees go through tribulations. So the Pandavas act as an exemplary example for us, that they also went through so much tribulations and they had faith in Krishna. They had trust in Krishna. So similarly, if we maintain the trust, then then we can surpass these tribulations and ultimately attain Krishna's bliss. So that is why this is an example of Vishwas, which can be taken for sadhakas. Now the second reference. The second reference for trust. Yatha Ekadashi, 11th canto. Tribhuvana vibhavahetavapyakunta Prithirajitatma suradibir vimrgayat na chalati bhagavat padarvindal lavanimeshardam apiha sa Vaishnavagraya. The lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are sought even by the greatest of the demigods such as Brahma and Shiva, Suradibir Mrigayat, who have all accepted the Supreme Personality as their life and soul. Ajitatman. A pure devotee of the Lord can never forget those lotus feet in any circumstance. Akunta Spriti. He will not give up his shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. Yaha na chalita bhagavat padara vindat. Even for a single moment. Indeed, not even for half a moment. Lava nimesh ardam api. Even in the exchange of the benediction of ruling the entire Tribhuvana Vibhava Hetavapya, or taking the post of a Devata. Such a devotee of the Lord is to be considered the best of the Vaishnavas. Saha Vaishnava Agraha. So the best of the Vaishnavas, you can see how exalted. Definitely he is here. The Vaishnava who is referred to is a Mahabhagavat. He's a Uttamadhikari, because he has this, he doesn't forget even for a single moment. Now here again the clarification will come by Jiva Vishwanath Chandra Thakur. The statement of a Siddha devotee Draupadi is not that of a Sadhaka Bhakta. In the statement of this verse, an expression of a Siddha Bhakta on the Uttama Bhakti level is also not Sadhana Bhakti. The Siddha Bhaktas also partake the Angas of Sakya and Atmanivedanam. These Angas are not exclusively to Sadhana Bhakti. So another explanation, Vishwanath Chandra Thakur mentioning that even the Siddha Bhaktas take up to Angas of Sadhana Bhakti. In fact, when we will be studying Raganuga Bhakti is mainly impelled by greed to attain the mood of the Vrajvasis and to follow their footsteps of devotion, who are called as Ragatmika Bhaktas. But it doesn't mean that a Raganuga Sadhaka will not practice the limbs of sadhana. In fact, all the Angas, what are there in Vaidhi Bhakti, are applicable to Raganuga Bhakti. Similarly, in Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti, the Angas like Sakya and Atmanivedanam, the Siddhas also partake. So it's not that it is only exclusive to Sadhana Bhakti. It will be said, Dushkaratvena virale dvai Sakyatmanivedane Kesam chit eva dhiranam labate sadhanarhatam. Friendship is Sakya, and offering the self and body, Atmanivadane, are rare. Dushkara tvena virale. Virale means rare. Because of the difficulty in performance in sadhana. Sadhana arhatam. While performing sadhana, to have this kind of friendship with the Lord and come to this level of Atmanivedanam is not so easy. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-98. Rupa Goswami saying. However, some wise men have considered that these two qualify as part of sadhana. Kesam chit eva dhiranam labate. So, but some say that some are qualified for this level of. Some sadhakas are qualified to practice Sakyam and Dasini. That's why Rupa Goswami is discussing here. Thus, it should be understood that only some rare persons performing sadhana who are almost siddhas are qualified for these angas, and not all sadhakas. How many have that kind of friendship with Krishna that they might be playing with Krishna, like I told the pastime, what Jagannath does in his garden in Rajapur. He had very close friendship with one boy where they used to go and steal jackfruit, katal. Jagannath likes katal a lot. So how many have this kind of friendship with Krishna? It's very rare. So that's why it is not for all sadhakas. Tribhuvana Vibhava Hetave Akunta Smriti means the devotee is not disturbed in his remembrance of the Lord. Even after hearing, give up remembering the Lord for a second, I will give you the dominion of the three worlds. For a second, just give up Lord's remembrance and take this control over three planetary system. He's not interested. Therefore, this best of the Vaishnavas does not waver from the lotus feet of the Lord, which are sought but not attained by the devatas who cannot control their senses. Ajita Atma. Okay, so any questions, any clarifications till now? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat. Prabhu, this Sakyam is, you said it is Vishwas and Mitra, right?
Mhm.
So in Mitra, Vishwas should also be there. And when we trust someone, that is also means how the two bifurcation has come. When we have friendship with someone, we will have Vishwas.
Mhm.
And when we have Vishwas, we are in general will be a friend to that person. So I am not able to understand how this two bifurcation has come.
Okay. Now, in Vishwas, Vishwas is on the statements of Krishna, what he makes. If you see the quotation of Mahabharata, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Name Bhakta Pranashyati means my devotee will not be destroyed. Now, how many have that kind of mitravat? We feel that, oh, Krishna is my friend. I have a very friendly relationship with Krishna. We are not at that level of devotion where we can claim that we have done. But we have faith in the statements of Krishna in the Gita and the Bhagavad. So that is at a different level. So that is why I gave that two examples. One is example of the, Jagannath's friend, Rajapur Jagannath, whom Jagannath used to play. And the cowherd boys who are trained, they had a friendly relationship with Krishna. And Prabhupada, when he was speaking, oh, Krishna will help you. Krishna is there. Krishna will help you. Okay. So this is very deep, intimately related. In fact, if you see the song composed by Prabhupada, Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma, when he first landed in America, preaching Krishna consciousness. Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma means America, preaching Bhagavad in America. He's directly addressing Krishna very intimately in that prayer. Bado Kripa Koilo Krishna. Oh, Krishna, you have done a lot of mercy on me, man. Why have you got me to this place? Yahi Ugrasthana. This is a Ugra place. Why have you got it? I think you have some business with me. That's why you got me to this place. So very intimate exchange is there. So this is what is kind of a friendship when we speak. So that's why there is a kind of distinction is there in that. That's why Mitra is very, very rare that we can come to that. Another thing which I heard, and it is very interesting, to believe in oneself is what is called as confidence. To believe in others is called as trust. But to believe in God is what is called as faith. So there is again difference you can see. When you have confidence on yourself, it is called as self-confidence. When you have confidence in others, it is called as trust. When you have confidence in God, that is called as faith. Faith is transcendental something. So here you can see there is a difference. There is a difference between self-confidence, having trust in others. That means you have confidence in others. And you have confidence in Krishna's statements. That is what is called as faith. So we all have faith in Krishna's statements and we are practicing bhakti. So like that, there is difference between Vishwas and Mitra, Vritti. Mitra is more like friendship, I don't know how many can have that kind of a relation even with the deities, that they treat the deities as if they're friends and they serve like that. It's a very elevated platform of devotional service. I've not seen it. One or two instances I have seen, very rare cases of very elevated devotees having that kind of an intimate relationship with the deities of very close intimacy. So that is a very elevated level of practice where we consider Krishna as our friend. So that is what it means. Okay, there was another hand which was raised. Yes, Mohan Ruksham Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you told like among the two aspects of Sakya, the trust and Mitra is higher.
Yes.
How we can understand that? Because without trust, Mitra aspect will not be there, right? Once you trust, then only you can have friendship.
Yeah, but again, there are levels, in that levels as to have like direct friendship with the Lord. You have direct friendship with the Lord there.
Okay.
That's how the difference
Okay.
is. Yeah.
So this is talking about the friendship with the Lord. Okay.
You are having direct friendship with the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah,
For that, Mitra.
I don't know. In Vishwas, it is you have trust in the statement of the scriptures, statement that Krishna will protect his devotees, and like that. So like that, the difference is there. The famous story is there of Gopal, the school boy, who had nothing to give to the teacher, and the mother told, you call out Gopal and Gopal will give. So he went in the forest, called out Gopal, actually came and gave him.
Okay.
So that is the kind of friendship we are speaking there.
That's right.
Where there is so that's how the difference is. Okay. So further now Rup Goswami is going to clarify this. Shraddha matrasya tad bhaktav adhikaritva hetuna angatvam asya vishvasa visheshasya tu keshave. The cause of qualification for bhakti, tad bhakto adhikaritva hetuna, is Shraddha alone, Shraddha matrasya. The particular element Vishwas to Keshav, Keshave Vishwas Visheshasya tu, may be considered an anga of that, Asya Angatvam. Now, carefully note this verse of Rupa Goswami, where he is making this discrimination. What is the adhikar for bhakti? The adhikar for bhakti is Shraddha. The moment you have Shraddha, in the association of sadhus, you start your bhajan kriya. Shraddha matra adhikari. But the particular element, Vishwas to Keshav, faith in Keshav, may be considered an anga of that. It's an anga of that bhakti. So that's the difference between Shraddha and Vishwas. Now we might be practicing bhakti much. How much we have deep faith? Vishwas can also mean deep faith. Deep faith that Krishna, will protect me. I just have to endeavor this, and Krishna will take care of it. That kind of deep faith, Vishwas, trust in Krishna's statements, is actually an anga of bhakti. That is what is being mentioned here. So let us now see the commentary and look more into this now. Now, though the terms Shraddha and Vishwas are synonymous, since there is an abundant use of the words in different contexts, Shraddha referring to the first stage, Vishwas to a later stage. They are used with separate meanings here. So, Shraddha and Vishwas are two terms. They are used synonymously, but they are used in different contexts. But Shraddha refers to the first stage of bhakti, Shraddha, Sadhu, Sangha, Bhajan, Kriya. But Vishwas refers to a later stage. Vishwas, in fact, also means deep faith. Naishtiki Shraddha, what we call, Naishtiki Shraddha means faith. There is Shraddha, which is among the 9 stages, the first stage, and Naishtiki Shraddha. Naishtiki Shraddha means Nishta stage. The faith is very, very strong. So that is something like Vishwas. So it is a later stage, and that's why they are using separate meanings. The word Matra, indicating exclusiveness, is used with Shraddha to acknowledge it as the best and necessary means for producing results in Bhakti as a whole. Shraddha Matra. The word is used with Vishwas to acknowledge as
Prabhuji has some connection issues.
Yes, there was something went wrong. Yeah. So the audio, sorry, the net connection went off. That's why we could not. Just a minute. Just okay. Yes. So what was Vishesha? Vishesha has been used with Vishwas to acknowledge Vishwas is a practice of bringing about a particular result of Shraddha and also being a topmost result of Shraddha. Because Shraddha and Vishwas have been mentioned in this verse, the two previous quotations, 189 and 190, illustrate Shraddha and Vishwas in that order. Now, we have heard this statement, Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudruda Nishchay. Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Shraddha is Shraddha Shabde, confident, firm faith. Sudruda Nishchay. That by rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna, Krishna Bhakti Kaile, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Sarva karma krita hoy. Such faith, Vishwas. Now here also there is Shraddha, but here it is called as Vishwas. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. So we can see that there is difference between Shraddha and Vishwas. Shraddha is beginning stage of bhakti. Vishwas means firm faith or deep faith or Naishtiki Shraddha. We have faith that just by practicing bhakti and not practicing karma, jnana, ashtanga, or any other thing, I can achieve perfection. That is what is called as firm faith. Firm faith refers to the stage at Nishta. So that's why there is difference in Shraddha. The meaning of Shraddha is different. So that is the difference between Shraddha and Vishwas. So the Vishwas is a element, you can see here, the particular element Vishwas to Keshav may be considered an Ang. of that. It is an Vishwas is an element which is an anga of bhakti, where we have faith in Krishna's words, and based on the faith of Krishna's words, I'm supposed to do book distribution, and I don't have funds to get the books from the BBT, but I have faith that if I endeavor and get the books, and we'll be able to distribute, and Krishna will take care. This kind of firm faith is what is called as Vishwas. So that's a little technical difference between Shraddha and Vishwas, which Rupa Goswami is clarifying here. Now, this is not there here in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, although there is now a little difference. We are clear about what is Shraddha and Vishwas. What is first stage of Bhakti, which is Shraddha, and Naishtik Shraddha, which is deep faith. That is what is Vishwas. Shraddha also has a deeper meaning. Shra means the heart. Da means to give the heart. So Shraddha also means to give our heart completely to Krishna. And at Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti, when the devotee completely offers itself, means his heart, means his soul to Krishna. So that is also his Shraddha is very high, in fact. So as we practice the Angas of Bhakti, our Shraddha is slowly growing, our Bhajan Kriya is growing, Anarth Nivritti is also coming down, and our Nishtha, faith in Bhakti is going up. Ruchi and Asakti is not there initially much in the graph, it is down. But as we practice, as our Shraddha goes higher, Bhajan Kriya goes higher, little bit Ruchi in the graph also will go up higher. But at the stage of Bhava, our Shraddha is 99%, Bhajan Kriya is 90%, Anarth Nivritti is full, 100% or 98%. And Nishtha is very strong. Ruchi is full 100%. Asakti is 100%. At the level of Prema, we have 100% Shraddha, 100% Sadhu Sang, 100% Bhajan Kriya, 100% Anarth Nivritti has happened, 100%. There is Nishtha, 100% Ruchi, 100% Asakti, 100% Bhava at the level of Prema, because the Shraddha is 100%. That is Shra and Da. Shra means to heart, Da means to give the heart. So that also is another meaning of Shraddha, which we can, just an additional point, I mentioned it. So now we are going to the second reference. If you remember, Mitra, being friendly, the evidence is Agat Samhita. We saw two evidence, Mahabharata and the 11th Vishwas. But now for the Agastya Samhita, this is the second evidence. Paricharya parakechit prasadeshu cha shreyate manushyam iva tam drashtum vyavhartum cha bandhuvat. A person who is dedicated to the serving the Lord, kechit paricharya para, and out of friendship sees and treats him as a human, manusham ivatam drashtum vyavharitam cha, lies down in the temple, prasadeshu cha shreyate. So this is from the Agastya Samhita. We see how exalted is this pujari who is serving the Lord. He thinks, he treats the Lord as a human being and a friend. And he also lies down in the temple along with the Lord. Because that is the kind of intimacy he has. So this cannot be imitated by Vaidhi sadhakas. So that's what the second reference is, devotee lying in the temple. Otherwise, we know that lying down next to the deity, it's considered as an offense. Now, again, Rupa Goswami clarifies the second evidence. Raganu angataswad Vidhi margena pekshatvat marga dvayena hitena saya sakya ratirmata. The last example should be classed as Raganuga sadhana. Asya Raganuga angatta swad. Because of disregard for Vaidhi sadhana, Vaidhi marga anapekshatvat. However, attraction for feelings of friendship, sadhya sakya rati, is cultivated in both Raganuga sadhana and Vaidhi sadhana. Etena cha marga dvayena mata. Okay, now Jiva Goswami gives a commentary. Even though the verse from Agastya Samhita is certainly classed as an anga of Raganuga, which will be discussed later, the verse is quoted to show that there are examples of Sakya within Vaidhi. So within Vaidhi also there is Sakya. There can be Sakya, which follow after the mood of Raganuga, predominantly Vaidhi Bhakti with a tinge of informality. There is predominance of Vaidhi Bhakti practice, but there is also tinge of informality. Now there is a footnote. This could be represented by a person who starts out practicing Vaidhi Bhakti for Vraja Krishna and by association gradually incorporates to some degree Raganuga sadhana in his worship of Vraja Krishna. Probably he would advance to pure Raganuga later. Others may incorporate Sakya for Krishna and Dwarka in their worship, similar to Arjuna's relationship. It would not be classed as Raganuga, since Raganuga by definition refers to only worship of Raja Krishna. So one thing we will be studying more in detail when we study Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, that Raganuga means Rag means spontaneous attraction, and it refers to especially to Vraja Krishna. Vraja Krishna and the eternal associates who are Ragatmika Bhaktas. Following in their footsteps, the bhakti which is performed, which is called as Raganuga Bhakti, it refers especially to Vraja Krishna. Sakya Rati means attraction for the mood of friendship rather than Sakya Rati in relationship to Krishna developed from Raganuga Bhakti. So Sakya Rati means attraction for the mood of friendship. Sakya Rati here means attraction. Oh, this is the same footnote, sorry. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti. The Sakya in the form of friendliness, Mitra, should be classed as Raganuga. Though all the previous Angas can also be performed as Raganuga by disregarding the emphasis on rules, it should be understood that the Mitra aspect of Sakya reveals mainly in the path of Raga. So it reveals mainly in the path of Raga. However, in both paths, Vaidhi and Raganuga, feelings of friendliness arising as a part of sadhana can produce Sakyarati. So while practicing also Vaidhi and later on Raganuga, we can have these feelings of friendliness as part of our sadhana, which will later on go and produce Sakyarati. Sakyarati means, the Stahi Bhav, which is that of Sakyaras. So this is a little technical, and when we study more Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, it will become still more clear. Now, these are sometimes technically to understand difficult, but sometimes when you give examples, it becomes clear. I know one devotee, a very dedicated devotee who every day attends a Bhagavatam class. In fact, before coming to Krishna consciousness, he was, you can say, I don't know what is the term to be used. He was like a rowdy, in fact, who was he was like a local gangster, you can say. And he was into all these kind of activities. But somehow, by the mercy of a pure devotee, he came into the temple and he got transformed. His heart was transformed, and he slowly started practicing bhakti, and then became a devotee. Gave up his previous kind of life, of a rowdy. So he was mentioning to me, we had a very sweet exchange for just few hours. I've not known him for many years, but we had such an intimate exchange that, as though we know each other for many, many years. So he was mentioning how, he very intimately used to worship Radha Gopinath, and he was praying to Radha Gopinath as a friend that, please do some arrangement. I want to stay near the temple so that every day I can come to the Bhagavatam. So he was very fervently praying, and Krishna heard his prayers. And he narrated the whole sequence of events and how he got to buy an apartment near the temple, what all ordeals he had to go through. Some fighting and all happened because of the dealing and all. He had to go to his previous days, but no. So all that he narrated, and his mood was like that. It was more like a Sakyarati. So within practice of Vaidhi also, there can be these feelings of friendliness arising as part of sadhana. And later on, when we attain bhava, then the Sakyarati manifests. So that was my point. Okay. Any questions regarding Sakyam? Any questions regarding Sakyam? Vishwas and Mitra Vritti. In Vishwas, there were two evidence, Mahabharata in the 11th canto. And then in Mitra, it was Agastya Samhita. And Mitra is having friendship with the Lord. And even if you have not attained Sakyarati, Sakyarati is your eternal rasa with Krishna, that is Sakyaras. Still you can have that kind of a feeling of friendship with the Lord. I gave few instances, example of that. And Vishwas, Draupadi's statement is that although she is a Siddha devotee, an eternal associate of the Lord, and her statement is out of prema, born out of prema, but still she's acting on the level of sadhakas. So sadhakas can also have that same mood that Krishna will protect me. I am holding my life just based on your statement. So she's speaking these words on the level of sadhana. Similar is the 11th canto reference. It is referring to Siddha devotees because not even for a moment they forget Krishna's lotus feet, even if they are offered the three worlds. That also is of sadhakas. Then the difference between Shraddha and Vishwas, we saw. Rupa Goswami is clarifying. Vishwas is a particular anga, Vishesh, it is particular anga which comes in bhakti, but the Shraddha is the first stage in bhakti. So in that context, we discussed Shraddha Shabde Vishwas, Sudrida Nish. So there is Shraddha, which is the first stage of bhakti. Then there is Naishtiki Shraddha, firm faith in the word. So that's the difference between Shraddha and Vishwas. I gave a deeper insight of what really is also a deeper meaning of Shraddha from the Sanskrit point of view. Shra and Dha. Shra means the heart, and Dha means to give the heart completely to Krishna. Here we don't refer to the physical heart or the mental heart, the physical heart or the emotional heart, which we give a symbolic representation of that heart. We refer to the spiritual heart here, the soul. So completely giving the soul to Krishna. That is Shraddha. So that is, Premi Bhaktas have 100% Shraddha, 100% Sadhu Sang, 100% Bhajan Kriya, 100% Nanativritti, 100% Nishtha, 100% Ruchi, 100% Asakti, 100%. Those who are in Prema, they have 100% Shraddha. So that is another meaning of Shraddha. And then the second reference, very, he's having such deep friendship with the Lord that he's lying down with the Lord in the temple room. According to Vaidhi rule, he's breaking the regulative principle. Because he has that intimacy with Jagannath, the Jagannath Panda, sometimes they lie down. We have seen that. We cannot imitate those activities, what the Jagannath Pandas have with the Lord. So that is the kind of, Mitra Vritti. That's what we discussed. I hope it is clear about Dasyam, Sakyam, and we can now understand a little bit how difficult it is to practice Sakyam. Okay. Okay. How many of you have heard about Yamuna Mataji? I hope everyone has heard about Yamuna Mataji. Very elevated, dear devotee of Srila Prabhupada, Lord Krishna. It is said that whenever she used to make offerings for the Krishna, she used to praise them in the altar, and she used to tell, "Here, Jagannath, this is for you. This is just juice for you I have made. This is just, very as though she is directly speaking to the deities. That's how, she used to closely relate with the deities as persons and deal with them like that. And that kind of, intimate exchange is very lofty. In fact, we don't have that kind of mood, definitely, as far as I can see. So that's the kind of relationship she had with the deities. Here, this, like at least parents can understand to children, for the whom they this special pakoda we have done for you. We are treating them as persons, and we have done with love. We are offering now. So similarly, that with that kind of mood, she used to cook, and she used to actually treat her deities and offer them. So that is in the mode of like a mode of vritti. Just an example I gave you. Okay. So now we can just start with Atma Nivedanam. Atma Nivedanam is also going to be long. Let us see how many verses. 337. Yes, 337. There are. Okay, we'll just begin and then continue tomorrow, because I don't want to. We have 15 minutes more. Atma Nivedanam. So directly, Rupa Goswami gives the quotation here, offering of self. Atha Atma Nivedanam Yatha Ekadashi. Martyo Yadat Samasta Karma Nivedatma Vichikshito Me Tambratatvam Pratipadyamano Mayatma Bhuyaya Chakalpate Vai. Up all prescribed activities. Yadha Martya Tekva Samasta Karma. This is like Sarva Dharman Parityajya. And offers himself entirely to me. Nivedatmita. Niveditatma. Mam ekam sharanam braja. Becomes the object of my special desires. Vichikshito me. He achieves liberation from birth and death. Tada amrit tattvam pratipadyamana. And is promoted to the status of sharing my own opulence. Maya atma bhuyaya cha kalpate. So one who offers himself completely to me, Krishna says, he becomes the object of my special desires. And he achieves liberation, and he shares same opulence. So this is the gift Krishna gives for one who offers himself to him. Because so one who has done Atma Nivedanam, that body is offered to the Lord. It is not that body is for sense gratification. So the body is not meant for pleasure in this life or the next life. That's it. The Lord then thinks, I desire to make him special. He then attains freedom from death, Amritatvam, and attains similarity to me, Atma Bhuyaya. This means that he attains liberation in the form of attaining a Swarupa and Shashti powers like those of the Lords. So he becomes liberated and he attains his Swarupa and Shashti. Note, this is not an exclusive statement indicating that all who practice Atma Nivedan achieve only Shashti and Swarupa and not Dasya. A person who practices Atma Nivedanam with pure bhakti will attain bhava and prema with rasa. So even Atma Nivedanam, what is the highest example for us? The Bhagavatam, which is the highest example of Atma Nivedanam given? Anyone knows? Yes, Mataji.
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj. Now, Bali Maharaj is especially related to Vaikuntha, Vaman Dev. Yes, and there is no mention of his rasa with Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. Yes, there is Ambrish Maharaj also, who had attained Atma Nivedanam more in Dasarati as a Das. Again, it is the Lord of Vaikuntha, Narayan. So, what here it is mentioned that those who also practice Atma Nivedanam in this line of Rupa Goswami, practicing Uttama Bhakti, they will attain what? Bhava and then ultimately prema. That is the point which has been clarified. Practices Atma with pure bhakti will attain bhava and prema. So those who practice Atma with Mishra Bhakti can attain Vaikuntha also. So that's the point here. Artho Dvidatma Shabdasya Panditer Upapayate Deha Ahantaspadam Kashchit Deha Kashchin Mamatva Bhak. The learned say, now Rupa Goswami is clarifying Atma Nivedanam. The learned say, Panditer Upapayate, that Atma mentioned in the previous verse has two meanings. Atma Shabdasya Dvida Artha. There are two meanings for the meaning of Atma. Some say Atma refers to the soul having the identity of I. Deha Ahantaspadam Kashchit. While others say that Atma refers to the body since it belongs to the soul. Deha Kashchin Mamatva Bhak. So it's a slight subtle here to understand. Atma can refer to the soul which has identity, that is the real I, the real you and me, that is Atma. And Atma refers to the body and this body belongs to the soul. So like that, Ahantaspadam Dehi, the possessor of the body with the sense of I means the Jiva. That's what Vishnu Chakra Thakur clarifies. So there is no other commentary. Now here I have brought it out in the chart. Atma has two meanings. Atma refers to the soul having the identity I, and the evidence is given of Yamunacharya Stotra. And then Atma refers to the body since it belongs to the body. The evidence is given from Bhakti Vivek. Now, what is the subtle difference between these two? The subtle difference is the reference point. That's it. Where you're from where you're referring. The sense of identity of I as Atma, the reference is directly the reference I am referring from the Atma point of view. The second case, that is Atma refers to the body. From the reference of the body, I am been referring to myself, that from the body, the platform, I am referring to, oh, I am a soul. And this body belongs to this soul, like that. So that's it. The reference points are changing. That's it. So that's how this Atma has two meanings. Now, Tatra Dehi. Dehi means when you refer to sense of identity of I. Yata Yamunacharya Stotre. 49th he mentions this. Vapuradishu yopi kopi va gunoto sani yata tata vidha tad ayam dvaya pad padmayo aham advaya maya samarpita. Maya samarpita. Whoever I may be. either a soul inhabiting the body and the other material elements, Vapur Adishu Yah Api Ko Piva, or Deva, or a human body made of gunas. Gunoto Asani Yatha Tata Vida. Today I offer that I, Aham Advaya Maya Samarpita, to your lotus feet. Tvaya Pada Padmaya. So this is from the Stotratna. Yamunacharya has composed a famous work called as the Stotratna, very beautiful prayers. So whoever am I, whether I'm made of these material molecules, whether I'm a deva, whatever it is, today I offer that to your lotus feet. That's what Yamunacharya says. Then, as I mentioned, offering the self, that is the body now. Offering the self was soul, I, the sense of identity of the soul. Now, the soul, body also belongs to the soul. So offering the body in one sense also means offering the soul. So the reference point is different. That's what I mentioned here. So deho, yatha bhakti viveka. Chintam kuryan rakshyaye vikritasya yata pasho tatarpayan haro deham virametasya rakshanat. Just as one does not worry, na rakshyaye chintam kuryan, about an animal that has been sold. Vikritasya yatha pashu. One should offer this body to the Lord. Tata arpayan haro deham, and be disinterested in its maintenance. Viramet asya rakshanat. So this body is being offered completely to the Lord. And just like when the animal is sold, or in today's context, a dog, when it is sold, the master takes care of the dog. The dog doesn't worry about its maintenance of the body. So similarly, when we offer this body to the Lord, we should not too much worry about the maintenance. The Lord, when he wants, that body requires some oiling and greasing, just like a machine requires oiling and greasing. So the Lord knows and he will provide it. We should have that kind of surrendered consciousness. So this is from the Bhakti Vivek. So there are the two references. Now there are a lot of points to be discussed about this second, and that will take some time. I will have to refer to. Can we take another 10 minutes and finish it? Is it okay, Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji? Can we take 10 minutes and finish Atma Nivedanam?
Yeah, okay.
5 minutes more from the.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Yes. Yes.
Because we can finish this then. Okay. So we saw this Bhakti Vivek reference. So now let me give you some practical hint. Is this surrender of the body which is being spoken? Now Prabhupada speaks about this in his commentary to the Bhagavad Gita. This is not in NOD. This is a BG reference. A Krishna conscious person does not expect good or bad results in his activities. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled. He knows that he is a part and parcel of the Supreme, and the part played by him as the part and parcel of the whole is not his own activity, but is only being done through him by the Supreme. That's the mood and consciousness. When the hand moves, it does not move on its own accord, but by the endeavor of the whole body. A Krishna conscious person is always double-tailed with the supreme desire, for he has no desire for personal sense gratification. Prabhupada is quoting this in 4.17. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa yanagni dagda karmani tamahu pandita buddha. That he is quoting this. Now, this is the reference. He moves exactly like a part of a machine. As a machine part requires oiling and cleaning for maintenance, so a Krishna conscious man maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in the transcendental service of the Lord. So why do we take prasadam? So that we have enough energy to do Lord service. That is the consciousness. This itself is also very exalted. We can see that. He is therefore immune to all the reactions of his endeavors. Kama sankalpa varjita. Yanagdi sarva karmani. Second example Prabhupada gives. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship even over his own body. This body is given to Krishna. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animal in his possession, yet the animal does not protest. Nor does he have any real independence. A Krishna conscious person fully engaged in self-realization has very little time to falsely possess any material object. So sorry, this is in 4.21, Prabhupada is quoting this. So the two examples, and Prabhupada is bringing out this example of an animal. So this is the level of surrender, what Prabhupada is speaking, and this is what is being also spoken here in Bhakti Vivek, of the animal being sold, and it is being offered to the Lord and is disinterested in his maintenance. The Lord, this is surrendered consciousness. This is Atma Nivedana. Okay, now another reference I'm giving, this is again not there in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but it is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Antilila Shikshashram prayers. Ashlisha Vapadatam Vishnu. After that prayer, Mahaprabhu quotes this. In fact, in the Shikshashram Chaito Darpan Marjanam, which come, these 8 prayers only come in the Antilila. Mahaprabhu speaks one prayer, then he speaks some other verses in Bengali, then he speaks Trunadapi Sunichina, what is the meaning of Trunadapi, Vriksha, Sahishnuta, few verses are there. Then he goes to the next verse. Like that, when the last 8th verse of the Shikshashtam is quoted, Ashli Shava means, you trample on me or you embrace me. I am surrendered to you. To give that example of that surrender, Mahaprabhu quotes this. Kushti Viprera Ramani Pavit Pativrata Shiromani Patila Gila Kaila Vaishyara Seva Stambila Surya Ragati Jiaila Mritapati Tushta Kaila Mukyati no Deva. So this offering of the body completely in surrender, Mahaprabhu is quoting Kushti Viprera Ramani, the wife of a Brahmana suffering from leprosy. The Brahmana was suffering from Kushta Rog. Ramani refers to the wife, manifested herself as the topmost of the all chaste women, Pativrata Shiromani. She was Pativrata Shiromani. How? By serving a prostitute to satisfy her husband. Pati Lagi Kaila Vaishyara Seva. She did a seva for a Vaishya. Thus, she stopped the movement of the sun. Stambila Surera Gati brought her dead husband back to life. Jayala Mritapati and satisfied the 3 principal demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Deva. So what is the story behind it is referred in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is another version also, which I will explain. Now, what is the surrender of the body here? The Aditya Puran, Markandeya Puran, and Padma Puran tell about a Brahmana who was suffering from leprosy, but had a very chaste and faithful wife. He desired to enjoy the company of a prostitute, and therefore his wife went to her and became her maidservant just to draw her attention for his service. So it is said that this prostitute was living in a house, and the opposite house was where the prostitute's house was. This Brahmana was living in a house, and this Brahmana had an eye on the prostitute. His wife, who was very chaste, understood, and to satisfy the husband, she went and started cleaning the house utensils of this prostitute. The prostitute's heart was transformed. Why are you doing this service to me? Now, here, the physical act of offering the body and doing this menial service is very austere in one sense, if you see. It's not the soul's activity of Atmanivedanam, if you speak here. For a chaste wife to go and do menial service of cleaning the pots is very difficult. So that is why she did this, and the prostitute was very pleased, and she said, "What we want." So then the chaste wife requested that my husband wants to enjoy you. So she said, "Okay, you send." So just to draw her attention for his service, when the prostitute agreed to associate with him, the wife brought her leprotic husband. When that leper, the sinful son of a Brahmana, saw the chastity of his wife, he finally abandoned his sinful intentions. So how it happened, there are again versions that this prostitute told this chaste wife who was serving and cleaning the pots, "You send your husband." And she first dressed herself beautifully. When the husband came, she said, "First you have a meal. I have cooked a beautiful meal for you." And she had kept a particular sabzi in 3 different bowls. One was a golden pot, one was a silver pot, and one other was an iron pot. The same item. So the Brahmana was surprised. Why the same item in 3 different pots, gold, silver, and iron? So the prostitute explained sense gratification, whether it is in female form, male and female enjoying, or a hog enjoying, or a dog enjoying, is the same. So hearing this lesson, the Brahmana gave up his full intentions, it is said. So that's one version. While coming home, now when he abandons his sinful intentions, while coming home, however, he touched the body of Markanda Rishi, who thus cursed him to die at sunrise. When tomorrow the sun, Surya Uday, will happen, he will die. He was cursed by Markanda Rishi. Again, it is a pastime. Because of her chastity, the woman was very powerful. Therefore, when she heard about the curse, she vowed to stop the sunrise. Stamba Kaila Surya Ragati, she stopped the sun. Because of a strong determination to serve her husband, the 3 deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar, were very happy. And they gave her the benediction that her husband would be cured and brought back to life. This example is given herein to emphasize that the devotee should engage himself exclusively for the satisfaction of Krishna without personal motives. That will make his life successful. So the Brahmana's wife, Pavitra Shurimani, Ramani, who was very chaste, she gave her body in the service of doing menial service of cleaning the pots. That is a sign of offering the body. That was just to give the example of this. Now last verse. Dushkaratvena virale dvaye sakyatma nivedane kesamchit eva dhiranam labate sadhanarhatam. So this we had already read. Once again it comes. Atmanivedanam in its pure form is rare because of the difficulty in execution, not because of having an elevated status, since it may be executed even without bhava. So Atmanivedanam is difficult. Why? Because in difficulty in execution, how difficult it was for a chaste wife to go and clean and do menial service of cleaning the pots, that too in a prostitute's house. So the difficulty arises not in the physical austerity of the work, but the ahankar. Because Atmanivedanam can be done when we are free from ahankar. So she was pure-hearted, and that's why she was free from that ego, and that's why she was able to do that. The extreme austerities the Gyanis and Yogis can do in the tapasya, in the Himalayas. So in that sense, it doesn't mean they have bhava and all. No. So there is a difficulty in execution because of having this elevated status. So which is more difficult? Difficult to clean the utensils or climb the Himalayas? So some might say climbing the Himalayas is difficult, but cleaning for a chaste wife the utensils is, it's very difficult for the ego. So that way we can see that Atmanivedam in its pure form is rare and because of the difficulty in execution. I gave this example, which I heard from a very senior devotee, that one Mataji, Yogini from America, recently this happened, few 30, 40 years back or 20 years back or 15 years back, I don't know. She came to the Himalayas and she had covered herself with snow and stayed there 1 month or 2, 3 months, I don't know, without any food, without any intake. She was performing this extreme tapasya. After her tapasya was over, being under ice in the Himalayas without any food, without any water, the reporters came and they asked, when you are below the ice, when you're covered completely in ice, what were your thoughts? What was on your mind? So she revealed, being sincere, she told that in America, I am addicted to drinking coffee in the coffee house. So I was always in my mind thinking, when will I go and have coffee? So although if you see the execution of austerity of being under ice in the Himalaya covered without any food for those few days or months is so austere, Prabhupada had to take up the austerity of living with the hippies, in New York, how difficult it was to execute that. So the senior devotee was mentioning, which is most austere, being covered by ice and staying there for months together without any food, or staying with the hippies in New York. In one sense, staying with the hippies in New York is more difficult. So like that, Atma Nivedanam in its pure form is rare because of its difficulty in execution. And it is not because of its elevated status, because it can be executed with the power. Sakya is rare because of the difficulty in execution and its extremely elevated status. Since Sakya in its pure form possesses the most elevated bhava. So there is some Sakya bhav towards it, so that's why it is still difficult. However, if Atmanivedanam becomes mixed with emotional relationships, it will become rare because of its elevated status as well. So Atmanivedanam with some, rasa will still be rare then. Pure Atmanivedanam is seen in Bali Maharaj when he gave himself to the Lord. Sharanapati is the essence of the Lord as one's protector, as the predominant factor. But Atmanivedanam is making oneself the possession of the Lord. That is the distinction between the two. Sharanapati means, the Lord is my protector. That is the predominant mood there. But Atmanivedanam means, I have myself given to the Lord. I have been possessed by the Lord. The Lord can do anything with me. He can feed me. He need not feed me. It's left to him. My body is given to him. So that is the difference between Atmanivedanam and Sakyam. Atmanivedanam mixed with the emotions of Dasya is seen in Amrish. I mentioned to that. That is stated in the Bhagavatam, starting with Sayamana Krishna Padaram and ending with Kamhim to Dasya. So Atmanivedanam with Dasya we see in Amrish Maharaj. Okay, last few words from Jiva Goswami. This mixed Atmanivedam is also stated in the 11th canto with Dasena Atma Nivedanam. One should give oneself to me as a servant. The bhava of a dear lover mixed with Atmanivedanam is seen in Rukmini. Tan me bhavan kalu krite patir angajam atmarpitastu bhavato atra vibho videhi. Therefore, my dear Lord, I have chosen you as my husband and I surrender myself to you. Atmarpita, please come swiftly, O Almighty One, and make me your wife. So, of a lover mixed with Atmanivedanam, is being described in Rukmini's pastime. In addition, it should be understood that Sakya and other rasas could also mix with Atmanivedanam. So Atmanivedanam can have a mixture of Dasya, of Madhurya, and Sakya also. All have these different flavors in Atmanivedanam. So Anga is Nija Priya Upharanam, offering articles dear to one's 50th. So among the 64, we have now 50, and this will go on till 59. 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64 are 5 important limbs that we'll discuss quite in detail. Okay, any questions, any clarifications? Atmanivedanam? Okay, we'll stop here. Shri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna. There is one question. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you have said like that Atmanived, that is with Mishra Bhakti also we can attain Vaikuntha. And you are explaining Atmanived. Can you just elaborate on that, Prabhu?
Surrender is there. Surrender is there even in the Vaikuntha devotees, and there is no doubt about it. But what Rupa Goswami was clarifying is that one who surrenders like this, how does Krishna reciprocate? He will make him oneself very dear. Sarupya, he'll give him the same form. Shashti means opulence. So those who take up to bhakti, practice Vaidhi bhakti, and surrender to the Lord, they will ultimately attain the Lord's abode and similar forms of the Lord. This is very clear. Now, in our line, where Rupa Goswami is given Uttama Bhakti, where we start practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, then as our surrender increases, it increases to higher degree in Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So this Atmanivedanam can lead to rasa, which will ultimately lead us to Golok. So that is the point the Rupa Goswami is making, that Atmanivedanam will lead to rasa. It's not that only it will lead to Shashti and Sarupya. No, it can lead to Raganuga Bhakti and ultimately to rasa with Praja Krishna in Golok. So that's what it clarifies. Now, Atmanivedanam is there in the gopis who are in Madhuryas. Atmanivedanam is there in Mother Yashoda, who is in Vatsalyaras. Atmanivedanam is there in the gopas, who are completely surrendered to Krishna. So they are in different rasas. Similarly, Atmanivedanam is also there in Vaikuntha, in Dasya, like Amrish. Amrish has, in Dasyarati, that's what, Dasyaras, it is mentioned. Mixture of, with the mixture of Dasya, it's there. He surrendered completely. That's why when Durvas Muni created the demon, Amrish Maharaj just folded his hands and stayed there because he was completely surrendered to the Lord. He did not, make efforts for his protection. That was his degree of surrender. So that's why Atmanivedanam is there in general sense in all devotees, Vaishnavas. But then these higher aspects in Uttama Bhakti, which will ultimately lead to rasa in Vraja Krishna, is what technically Rupa Goswami is clarifying. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone has? Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Bol.